Dayton Public Library has removed cultural symbols having to do with a certain ideology. Here's why it matters. Dayton Metro Library officials this week planned a new policy to remove permanent displays of flags and other cultural symbols from library locations. The memo asked staff at every library location to remove non-lendable display items that are not connected to events in February, like cultural days like Black History Month and other things like that. This realignment represents an intentional understanding that individually many of the duties and responsibilities of each department overlap, so they're combining it with the community outreach department. Here's why it matters. First of all, the left in Dayton, Ohio sees it for what it is because they are fervently protesting the library now. There was another story on the news this morning reporting that there were protesters outside, there are people marching, and this is ultimately why we discontinued going to the public library, was because we were being inundated with cultural symbols and other things that require explanation to our children. And as a Bible-believing Christian and as a father, I would prefer that I do not need to have conversations about things like sexual orientation or what you choose to do in the bedroom, all of those things with my 8-year-old daughter, who is the oldest in our family. And that is, among other reasons, why we had to stop going to Dayton Metro Library. It is a great library for what it's worth. They're always friendly, usually kind. However, they are simply forcing material into the lives and eyes of our children that requires explanation. This is a reason why men especially need to stand up. This is an institution, the public library, which is probably not operated by the most testosterone-laden men on the planet. And so as a father, we need to walk in and be assertive in defense of our children, the rights of our family to be able to be a believer in Christianity without having that come into conflict with all of these institutions in our community that we are supposed to be able to attend without imposition on our belief system. Now, if I were if I owned the library system, for instance, or if I was the executive director of the library system, I would not put the Bible display or the Christian book display anywhere more aggressively toward the front of the library system as I would any other belief system. I believe that Christianity is so valuable and so ultimately stands up to criticism that over the last 2,000 years, it has persisted when every other kingdom has been washed away. And so I don't need to shove it in someone's face. I don't need to institutionally affect how it's being projected, because ultimately that becomes about the institution and not about the Bible itself. So I wouldn't want my belief system to be inundated into people's lives and force children. Now, I believe that they could stand side by side. And if you do that, if it were taught in schools or in the library as much as the agenda that is being removed from the Dayton Public Library, Christianity would ultimately stand up so much greater, so much more, with so much more stability and ability to have a great life. Christianity would stand so much greater than these other institutions, but we're being shoved everything else into the hearts and minds of our kids. And I don't want to have to assert an explanation every time I walk into the freaking library. So good on the library system for reading the room and seeing that it's potentially a funding issue if you continue to have your political ideology and truthfully your pseudo religion shoved in people's faces at all times. So Dayton Public, I probably still won't go back, honestly, because it's a little further for us, but also I discontinued for a reason. I don't need to go back. There's more local libraries here where we currently live that are more rural and have a little bit better aesthetic in terms of what our belief system is. They're more supportive of that. So c'est la vie to Dayton Public, and you can protest all you want, but they're still in your pocket. If you're on the left and you're in Dayton, the Dayton Public Library is not going anywhere for you. They're still going to massage your feet every time you come through. So don't even worry about it. I wouldn't even protest. So they made people take certain types of flags out of their office space. You know, it's not even that big a deal, to be honest. And if it were a cross that I walked through the door and saw a cross, I would not be offended by that, obviously, because that's me. But they're not going to do that either. So it's not like they're going completely right wing here. They're just seeing maybe funding might be limited if they didn't.